From the Diary of a Little Girl, Day 1. Mom is in the hospital right now because she's going to have a baby. I want to cook her something delicious. Day 2. Today I made meat soup with vegetables for Mom. It wasn't easy, but I cooked it with love. I came to the hospital and gave it to my mom. Mommy was very happy and said I was a good girl. I asked, will the baby have an egg in her tummy too? Mom said yes, when she grows up. I would like my sister to eat my soup. Day 3. Mom came back from the hospital with her sister. Her name is Kaori, and she is very beautiful. I wanted to play with Kaori, but Mom wouldn't let me go to her. She told me to go to my room. I felt very sad. Day 4. Dad came home from work early today. I wanted to play with him, but he was playing with Kaori. He told me to go play in my room. I felt very sad. Day 5. Grandma and Grandpa came to visit us today. I was glad because my grandparents always played with me. I asked my grandmother to read me a book, but she told me to go to my room. Grandma, Grandpa, Mom and Dad were all messing around with Kaori. They spent all their free time with my little sister. Mom said, Kaori is so beautiful. I would have eaten it. Dad replied, you're right, so am I. Day 6. Today I made meat soup with vegetables for my parents. I cut the vegetables easily, but the meat was very difficult to cut into pieces. After dinner, the parents began to walk around the house, shouting, Kaori, Kaori. My parents were looking for my sister everywhere. Have you seen her? She's so beautiful that everyone wants to eat her. There were 5 of us then. We enjoyed life and were not afraid of anything. Now I'm sitting in a wheelchair, wrapping a blanket around my legs, and writing in a notebook with nothing to do. Now it's just me. Graduation. We, 3 girls and 2 guys, are best friends who have just received diplomas. How could we not celebrate it? I don't remember which of us suggested a boat ride. Most likely, Sonia, an adventurer. Anyway, we sailed across the lake on a warm, almost bright June night. Look, the star is falling, Lisa shouted joyfully. One silver line traced the sky, then another, then another. Making a wish, everyone was laughing, looking at the sky, pushing each other, and I suddenly felt sad. They burn up in the atmosphere, I sighed, which alarmed everyone else. What are you doing? Nina was surprised. Slender brown-haired woman with a short haircut. These are not stars, but meteors, I explained, and they burn up in the atmosphere. Oh, come on, Nina laughed, shouted to the others. Vika feels sorry for meteors. I didn't say I felt sorry for them, I objected, but they didn't listen to me. Sonia winked at me, pointing to another shooting star. There were a lot of them that night. I wished that it would not burn. Don't be sad. Before I could answer, there was a deafening whistle, then a crack, and half of the deck flew apart. One of the girls screamed. He pushed me into the water with a shout. The next moment, the boat was sufficed by a wave of unnatural red fire, hot, pollinating, reflected by the boiling water. The boat was rushing, engulfed in flames and crumbling, and I heard an inhuman scream coming from it. I tried to grab hold of Sledge's hand, but the whirlpool from the sinking wreckage caught me, pulling me into the depths. I surfaced, gasping, and immediately something pulled me down again with incredible force. What I saw, already plunging into the murky water, was another meteor. There was only one thought in my head. I want to live. And I, choking on dirty water, went to the bottom. And I woke up in a hospital room, covered in some tubes and sensors. It's been 2 days since they found me on the shore. No one believed that a meteorite had crashed into our boat, and over time I began to doubt it myself. One of my legs is disfigured and motionless, and there is a burn mark on my back, but I still live. And my friends are lying somewhere at the bottom of the lake with a fallen star. Sometimes I wonder if she would have fallen if we hadn't wanted her to. And I would have died if we hadn't asked for the life of another star. It could be a coincidence, or it could be something else. so it's better not to make wishes in a starfall. A few days ago I had a very strange dream. I was standing on a long, narrow road that led to my school. It was strangely quiet, there was no wind blowing, no birds singing and no insects buzzing. The road was completely empty, and there was no one around. I followed it. It was then that I had a strange feeling that someone was looking at me. Looking over my shoulder, I noticed a small human figure. The man seemed to be running at full speed. I walked forward, but every time I looked back, the person was getting closer and closer to me. This whole situation started to make me very nervous. He just kept getting closer and closer to me. At some point I stopped and looked back. The man also stopped. He just stood in the middle of the road and stared at me. When I started walking again, the man ran after me. Eventually he got close enough to me that I could see his face. It was a clown, one of those sad clowns that you can see in pictures. He was wearing a shabby hat and a worn-out coat, like a tramp. The way he was looking at me really scared me, and for a moment I thought, if he catches me, I'm finished. I wanted to run, but for some reason I couldn't do it. My legs became heavy and I could barely lift them. All I could do was keep going like before. The clown was getting closer and closer. The next time I looked back, I could see his eyes. They were crying. I saw my school in the distance and felt relieved. That you told me that if I could get there before the clone caught me, I'd be saved. When I was at the main gate of the school, I looked back for the last time. The clown was right behind me. He grabbed my shoulder and turned me around. The scariest thing was his face. It wasn't evil at all. On the contrary, it was a desperate, doomed look. Tears streamed down his painted cheeks. I caught myself, he said. Then, to my surprise, he just let me go and started walking away. And she remained standing in complete bewilderment. How could I be so stupid? I was afraid for no reason. I started laughing to myself. The clown stopped and looked back. He took a rusty knife out of his pocket and held it up to his face. And if I catch you a second time, you'll feel bad. The third time I have to deal with you. See you later. Having said that, the clown wiped the tears from his face and left. I woke up in a cold sweat. Ever since I had this dream, I'm too scared to go back to sleep. I drink coffee all day, trying not to fall asleep. I'm afraid to close my eyes even for a moment. I'm afraid I might fall asleep. And if I have a dream, I know that the clown will be waiting for me.